If we talk about the basic mechanism of a true centrifugal casting process, the first step is application of coating to the inside mold wall with refractory slurries, sand, graphite, etc., so that the casting does not get stuck with the mold wall. After coating application and drying them, molten metal is poured directly into the mold and the mold is continuously rotated at a predetermined speed. After solidification, the casting is extracted from the mold, and during this process, centrifugal force lets the less dense impurities move towards the center and get stacked up there. It can be easily removed by machining, grinding, or sandblasting. The advantages of this casting process are many. Some of them include flexibility and casting composition, production of large casting, no use of core to make cylindrical hollow parts, no need of gates and feeders as casting is directly poured into the mold, and also few fettling costs. Fettling means removal of unwanted metals or entities from casting. This process has some drawbacks also, as centrifugal force compels lighter entities to move towards center. Segregation of alloy can happen. This method is suitable for only casting axially symmetrical components. As core is not used, inner diameter often requires secondary machining after casting. Also, this process requires highly skilled labor. Now going to the next type, which is semi-centrifugal casting process. It is carried out on a vertical mounted machine at comparatively low rotating speed than the true centrifugal process. The main difference between true and semi-centrifugal process is that and the mold is completely filled through a central screw during this process. During casting, rotational speed ensures uniform distribution of molten material to the casting. More than one item can be produced at a time in this method because multiple numbers of mold can be stacked and fed by the central screw. Components like wheels, sheaves, blanks, etc. can be produced using this method. The last one is centrifugal casting process. It is used to cast unsymmetrical castings in a group. Molds containing cast geometry rotates around the central screw. Runners are used to provide liquid metal to the molds from the central screw. This whole structure increases filling pressure within the molds, which allow to cast with complex shapes. This is economical in nature as many castings can be manufactured at a time. Generally, in permanent molds, pouring temperature of molten metal is 40 degrees Celsius higher than that in sand mold. This is because of rapid chilling effect of permanent mold, and for the same reason, pouring rate, especially the rate at the beginning, must be very high compared to the sand molds. Otherwise, cold laps and cold shards may occur. In this table, we can see the pouring rate requirement for different ranges of casting weight in this process. Also, it is always good to use a pouring funnel to ensure the entry of molten metal in the direction of mold rotation. It will provide better casting quality by minimizing turbulence. We have already discussed about how directional solidification works in this process. Here, heat is only removed through water-cooled mold wall. And these are the parameters which influences solidification. Parameters with greatest effects are mold thickness, mold wash thickness, and degree of superheat. How this affects local solidification condition, that will be discussed later. Control pattern of solidification is very important as casting soundness and metallurgical quality greatly depends on it. As high feeding pressure is a must for directional solidification, obtaining this is the primary aim of casting technique. To take the full advantage of centrifugal force, mold cavity must be shaped or selectively chilled according to the principles of directional solidification to produce solidification from periphery towards the center. Basically, central mass of liquid metal does the function of feeder head used in static casting. So it is positions at the center and is sufficiently large to induce favorable temperature gradient. Selection of mold, it is an important factor of this casting process. It basically depends on geometry and quality of casting and also the materials used to be cast. Usually permanent molds are used in centrifugal casting process, but sometimes expendable molds as liner are used also. The most common permanent mold materials include graphite, steel, copper, etc. Among them, graphite molds are economically alternative to sand for producing small castings, and steel molds are used to cast large quantities. The main variables that control casting quality are speed of rotation, pouring temperature, pouring speed, mold temperature, etc. At first, speed of rotation. The main effect of high speed is to promote the grain refinement, although this can also bring about turbulence because of instability of the liquid mass at very high speeds, but it's better to use the highest speed of rotation possible without encountering hot tearing. Then pouring temperature. It has a major influence on the mode of solidification. Low temperatures are associated with maximum grain refinement with equiaxed structure, and high temperatures promote columnar growth in many alloys. The pouring temperature must be sufficiently high to prevent cold lapse while still avoiding coarse structures and the increased risk of hot tearing. Pouring speed depends on the particular metal being poured, as we need to finish the delivery of the molten metal before the metal becomes sluggish. Too high pouring rate can cause excessive turbulence as well as raining. Low pouring rate promotes directional solidification and feeding. It also reduces the risk of hot tearing. Temperature of molds, it should be maintained in the range of 500 to 550 degree Fahrenheit. Mold preheating to this temperature range will facilitate the application of the refractory mold coating. A uniform operating temperature is needed to ensure a quality casting. Centrifugal casting is used where we require strength, reliability, and material soundness in the end product. The basic characteristics of centrifugal casting is this is relatively free from defects. We encounter less loss of metal and the production rate is very high. Also, we get better mechanical properties, and this method can be employed to manufacture bimetallic pipes and other specialties. This slide summarizes the effects of all the process variables on the microstructure of the final product. From this, we can see that if we increase temperature gradient to optimum, we can get columnar structure. And if we increase mechanical disturbance by any means, we can get equiaxed fine structure. A number of defects occur in centrifugal castings, which can be related to pouring, spinning, temperature, material, or coating. Hot tears are developed in centrifugal casting, especially for high rotational speed. Hot tears can occur across the circumference of the casting or transversely across the casting. They can be caused by several different reasons, like not cooling enough before extraction, uneven mold thickness, too high pouring rates, especially for the thick-walled castings, etc. So what can we do to remove hot tears? Firstly, we should check our water cooling nozzles. They should be free of debris and they should be unblocked, so water can flow freely. Also, enough water pressure should be ensured, and applying more water and reducing spin speed sometimes help to solve this problem. Another type of defect is segregation banding, which occurs only in true centrifugal casting. Generally, where the casting wall thickness exceeds 50 to 70 millimeter, it rarely occurs in thinner wall casting. Minor adjustments to casting operation variables like rotational speed, pouring rate, and metal and mold temperatures will usually reduce or eliminate banding. Raining is a phenomenon that occurs in horizontal centrifugal castings. If the mold is rotated at too low speed or if the metal is poured into the mold too fast, then the metal actually rains or falls from the top of the mold to the bottom. Proper process control can eliminate raining. Then the vibrational defect. Vibration can cause a laminated casting. It can be held to a minimum by proper mounting, careful balancing of the molds, and frequent inspection of rollers, bearings, and other equipment. Now let's look at the huge application sector of this method. Regarding production of rotationally symmetric products, this method is a front runner, being used in mass producing blanks, pipes, etc., as well as cutting-edge aerospace industry. Another advantage is the compatibility convenience. We can cast a variety of metals, alloys, and ceramics in this process. All in all, very versatile in adapting to industry needs. Based on the production technique, we classify centrifugal casting into three categories: true centrifugal cast, semi-centrifugal cast, and pressure cast. However, looking at industries, this process is active in all, will give us a more comprehensive understanding of the method's application and its potential. Here we take a look at the mass-produced products. This process is responsible for, firstly, true centrifugal cast products can be directly obtained from casting or after a bit of machining. Pipes, tubes dominates this sector, but there are rings and liners as well. The semi-centrifugal process is mainly used for producing gears and gear blanks. And while pressure centrifugal casting method produces intricate hinges, jewelry, biomedical apparatus, etc., a thing to note is the variety of materials that can be used here. Now we shift to the specialized high-tech industries. Precision and accuracy is vital, and centrifugal casting can meet those requirements. Aircraft manufacturing, from fuselage supports to drum brakes and many components of the engine, aircraft industry needs a lot of high-quality circular components that this method provides, like propeller hubs, cast rings, flanges, shaft sleeves, etc. Automobile industry requires a high volume of mechanical components while also needing a certain degree of precision. Due to the quickness of the method, supply can keep up with demand. Some of the automobile manufacturing example is cylindrical liner, piston rings, bearing bushes, etc. And then petroleum processing plants. The examples are tubes, valve housings, high pressure pipes, etc. Long-lasting, high reliability components are needed in this industry. In power plants, all kinetic and electrical power units require turbines and its components. Centrifugal casting methods are used in producing these. And here is an example of turbine heat exchanger. And even electrical components are crafted in this method. This is an example of switchgear component. Bimetals perform similar to metal composites. Alloys of different composition can be layered to produce specific mechanical properties. And this field is still growing and new research is going on, but we have to keep in mind that these conditions and variables for bimetal production has to be carefully controlled. Especially the addition of the second layer has to be temperature and speed controlled. Otherwise, proper metallurgical bonds between the layers can be created. So this method is very well-rounded in its production speed and accuracy. While it can mass produce pipes and liners, it can also produce race car brake pads. This method is versatile enough to exist in both high-tech and high-volume industries. Geometry is limited here. Only rotationally symmetrical objects can be cast in this process, but it is the most optimum way of casting this particular geometrical shape. Thank you. Hello.
স্যার আপনার মাইকটা মিউট করো।
ঠিক আছে ভেরি গুড প্রেজেন্টেশন। একটা কোশ্চেন করব, সেটা হলো এর আগের প্রেজেন্টেশন যেটা ছিল ডাই কাস্টিং, তার সাথেও অ্যাসোসিয়েটেড যে সমস্ত জেনারেল কথাবার্তা প্রচলিত আছে।
হ্যালো
স্যার, আপনাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছি না স্যার, আপনাকে শোনা যাচ্ছে না
আর আপনার কথা কেটে কেটে আসছে।
should not be machine।
হ্যালো,
এটা কেন বলতে পারবা কি কেউ? রোল নাম্বার 20।
স্যার
হ্যালো স্যার, আপনাকে শোনা
স্যার
যাচ্ছে?
আপনার কথাটা স্যার খুবই কেটে।
কাস্টিং গুলো মেশিন করা ঠিক হবে না। শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যালো,
শোনা যাচ্ছে কথা?
ইয়েস স্যার।
আমি যেটা বলছি যে ডাই কাস্টিং মেশিন গুলো, প্রোডাক্ট গুলো করা ঠিক না। এটা কেন বলে সেটা বলতে পারবা কি? Anyone? 22, 23, 33, 34?
So die casting products.
Die cutting প্রোডাক্ট গুলো মেশিনিং করতে মানা করে। কেন মানা করে? ডাই কাস্টিং বলতে প্রথম প্রেজেন্টেশনের কথা যাও না, আমি বলতেছি ইন জেনারেল যে সমস্ত কাস্টিং এ মেটাল মোল্ড ইউজ করে। তো তোমার সেন্ট্রিফিউগাল কাস্টিং এও তো মেটাল মোল্ড ইউজ করে, তাই না?
ইয়েস স্যার।
সো সেই ক্ষেত্রে যে প্রোডাক্টটা জেনারেট হয় সেই প্রোডাক্টে মেশিনিং করা উচিত হবে না। কেন বলে এই কথাটা?
Because already surface বেশ মানে গুড কোয়ালিটির আছে।
Not necessarily.
স্যার আমাদের প্রসেস তো স্যার মেশিনিং এনকারেজ করা হয়, বিশেষ করে স্যার ভার্টিক্যাল ডাই কাস্টিং, ভার্টিক্যাল প্রসেসে তো স্যার মেশিনিং একদম মাস্ট। ম্যাক্সিমাম প্রোডাক্টসে স্যার মেশিনিংটা দরকার হয় আমাদের।
সারফেসে মেশিনিং করতে হয়। ওকে, যদি হরাইজন্টাল ধরি, হরাইজন্টাল পাইপ কাস্টিং লেটসে, তাহলে এটার কথা বলছি না, আমি আউটওয়ার্ডস এর কথা বলছি, যেটার সাথে ডাই অ্যাসোসিয়েটেড থাকে, ডাই লেগে থাকে, সেই সমস্ত সারফেস মেশিনিং করা ঠিক হবে। ওকে, এটা
স্যার স্যার এটার এক্সটেন্স বেশি হয়ে যায় সেজন্য। হ্যালো হ্যালো
একটা ডিফেক্ট তো মেটাল মোল্ডে কি পরোসিটি ডিফেক্ট হয় না?
স্যার আমাদের কাস্টিংটাতে পরোসিটি গুলো হচ্ছে মানে লো ডেনসিটি হওয়ার কারণে ভিতরের দিকে চলে যায় আর কি, ইমপিউরিটিজ সবকিছুই। সো পরোসিটি আসলে বাহিরের সারফেসে ফর্ম করতে পারে না।
সাধারণত তোমার ডিরেকশনাল সলিউশন কোন দিকে হচ্ছে?
বাহির থেকে ভেতরের দিকে।
বাহির থেকে ভেতরের দিকে। ওকে, ঠিক আছে। তাহলে পরে এই ইগুলো গ্যাসগুলো যেটা যাবে সেটা কোন দিকে যাবে?
সেন্টারের দিকে যাবে।
সেন্টারের দিকে যাবে। আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে।
স্যার
ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ।
স্যার
ইয়েস
স্যার আপনার কথাটা ভালো করে শোনা যায় না, কি বলতেছিলেন?
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে। কোশ্চেনের আনসার তো হলো না এটা।
স্যার ডাই কাস্টিং কেন মেশিন করা হয় না, এটা একটা আনসার বলতে পারবো হয়তোবা। স্যার এটা
বলো
কস্ট
দেখি।
বেড়ে যায়। স্যার এটা কস্ট মানে
না, না,
হার্ড টুলিং
না,
করার
না,
জন্য।
সেটা না, সেটা না, সেটা না।
আচ্ছা
সারফেস
পরোসিটি
ফিনিশ
যখন যায়
প্রপার।
সেটা পরোসিটি ইউজুয়ালি আউটওয়ার্ডস যায়, ঠিক আছে? হয় এই কথাটা হয়তো ইয়ের বেলায় ঠিক না, মানে কি বলবো এটাকে, সেন্ট্রিফিউগাল কাস্টিং এর বেলায় ঠিক মতো হচ্ছে না, কিন্তু ডাই কাস্টিং এর বেলায় বেশি করে প্রযোজ্য। পরোসিটি গ্যাসগুলো আউটওয়ার্ডস দিকে যাচ্ছে, কিন্তু আউটওয়ার্ডস অলরেডি সলিডিফাইড হয়ে যায়, ঠিক আছে? সো স্যান্ড কাস্টিং এ যেমন গ্যাস পরোসিটিটা থ্রু মোল্ড বেরিয়ে যেতে পারে, গ্যাসটা মেটাল মোল্ডে বেরিয়ে যেতে পারে না। অ্যাজ এ রেজাল্ট এই পরোসিটি গুলো কিছু দূর যেয়ে নিয়েই থেমে যায়, কারণ সারফেস সলিডিফাইড হয়ে যায়। যার কারণে সারফেসটা যদি মেশিনিং করো, জাস্ট সারফেসের বেলো পরোসিটিটা তখন এক্সপোজড হয়ে যায়, কারণ পরোসিটি গুলো জাস্ট সারফেসের নিচে জমে থাকে। সেই জন্য বলা হয় যে পরোসিটি এই ডাই কাস্টিং প্রোডাক্ট গুলো শুড নট নেভার বি মেশিনড। মেশিনিং করলে পরে পরোসিটি এক্সপোজ হয়ে যায়, সেই জন্য এগুলো মেশিনিং করা হয় না। ওকে, ফ্রি গ্রুপ 3 যারা আছো, গ্রুপ 3 তে আছো 24 আছো? 24?
Yes, sir.
25?
Yes, sir.
30?
Yes, sir.
31?
Yes, sir.
ওকে, 24 প্রেজেন্ট করো।
Sir, দেখা যাচ্ছে কি?
হ্যাঁ, দেখা যাচ্ছে।
Okay. Um, hello everyone, good morning. I'm Hassan Al Jami and I'll be presenting on behalf of Muid Hassan and Fari Hassan Bhuya from Group 10. My topic today is continuous casting process.
এক সেকেন্ড। তোমাদের এখানে 24 আছে, 25 নাই কেন?
Sir, 25 আমাদের সাথে কাজ করেনি স্যার।
25 কাজ করে নাই। ওকে, 25 কেন কাজ করে নাই? 25 আছো? Bruno 25 absent.
Sir, start করব?
আচ্ছা, yes, start করো।
So continuous casting process was first conceived by Bessemer in the year 1958. The continuous casting process is where the molten metal is solidified into a semi-finished billet, bloom, or slab for subsequent rolling in the finishing mills. This process is also known as strand casting. Continuous casting is very much in demand nowadays. If we look at the scenario today, most of the modern steel makers have continuous casting units, and they produce slabs, blooms, or billet from continuous casting, and then they are further converted. So what's the main purpose of this process? For over a century, the traditional method for conversion of steel from the liquid phase to the solid phase was actually by using ingot molds. In conventional mold casting process, we use a sand mold or a metal mold. The liquid metal is then poured into the mold and let it to be solidified. This ingot is then taken for further processing, like it is further to be heated, and then to the dimension is to be reduced. So all these things are to be done, and it is time consuming and energy intensive. The continuous casting process shows the way to actually bypass the conventional ingot casting, and we can get casting in a form that is directly rollable or finishing mills, and this is the most efficient way to solidify a large volume of metal into simple shapes for subsequent processing. Now, let's look at the working principle of continuous casting process, which involves 4 steps. The first step is actually the transfer of liquid metal from the ladle into the molds, and it is a 2-step process. The first step is the transfer of liquid metal from the ladle to tundish, and then the tundish to the mold. So the first step, the transferring the liquid metal from the ladle to the tundish through a shroud which is located just below the ladle. The shroud is kind of submerged into the metal in the tundish. The tundish actually helps in the process of removing inclusions. The idea is to utilize the total residence time. The inclusion removal is done in that due time, and it can be done by 2 steps. It's a flotation and absorption by adding flux on the tundish surface. The tundish actually provides the continuous flow of liquid metal, and it maintains a steady height just above the nozzles that connect the tundish to the mold. Moving on to the next process is tundish to the mold, the transfer of liquid metal from tundish to mold. The liquid metal enters the mold in the presence of flux through the submerged nozzle immersed in the liquid still, and actually the solidification starts at the mold. As I just mentioned earlier, we add flux powder. So let's take a look at the role of this mold flux. Mold flux is actually poured on top of the molten liquid in a mold, and the flux then melts and penetrates between the mold surface and the mold surface and the solidifying stand to minimize the friction, and it also provides lubrication. And this flux actually helps in the absorption of inclusions and prevention of reoxidation in the mold. Then the next step is actually the primary and secondary cooling. As you already know, the solidification of the liquid metal starts at the meniscus level of steel, and the molds in the continuous casting machines are actually specially designed. It's a water cooled copper molds. Copper has a high heat higher heat diffusivity, and as the liquid metal enters the mold, a strand with a solid outer shell and a liquid core is actually produced. So the mold is actually called the primary cooling area, where the first cooling takes place or solidification takes place. Now to start a cast, there is actually a dummy bar which is placed just below the mold. As the steel has achieved a sufficient thickness, as the shell has achieved a sufficient thickness, and the strand has achieved sufficient mechanical property to support the core, it comes out of the mold with the dummy bar in front at a casting speed. And then it enters the secondary cooling zone, a secondary cooling chamber, which consists of various kinds of water spray. Like we also spray combination of water and air referred as the air mist. And these are the water spray in between the rollers. And in this region, the further solidification takes place. So heat transfer is actually a major phenomenon when it comes to continuous casting machines. The distance from the meniscus, where the solidification starts, to the cutoff stand should be greater than the metallurgical length, which is actually dependent on the rate of heat conduction through the solid shell and the heat extraction from the outer surface to avoid any kind of cutting into the liquid core. So the casting speed has to be limited to allow sufficient time for the heat of solidification to be extracted from the stand, so that the stand is fully solidified. The conversion of molten metal into a solid semi-finished shape involves the removal of certain heats, like superheat from the liquid that is entered the mold from the tundish by convection, latent heat of fusion through conduction from the solidification front to the colder outer surface due to the temperature gradient in the solid shell, and sensible heat transfer by convection from the solid shell to the mold. And there are also some external heat transfer by radiation, conduction, and convection to the surroundings. In this case, here is a temperature diagram, the cooling rate. We can see liquid metal molds and liquid solid metal and the molds, the temperature difference, the temperature gradients. The heat transfer before pouring the molten metal is actually important, because controlling the superheat is actually vital to attain of a predominantly equiax structure. As you know, the finer grain structure, better mechanical properties. Step 3 is bending and strengthening. So as the liquid metal comes out of the mold, partially solidified, it enters the roller containment section along with the secondary cooling chamber, as we mentioned before, with all the sprays and cooling while the further solidification takes place. In order to decrease the vertical dimension of the casting installation and to achieve greater operational reliability, we use horizontal or substantial horizontal direction by means of pressure roll. There are different kinds of pressure rolls. Like one set of rollers are actually used to withdraw the steel strand from the mold, and another set of rollers just below it, the bending rollers, are used to bend the steel slab, and just in front of it there's straightening rollers which are used to straighten the steel slab before going into the final section. It's actually the main purpose of this process is to change the flow of steel slab from vertical to horizontal process, and it's completely automatic process, so we can control the effect and activity of the rollers to our benefit and to shape the steel slab according to our any desired weight. Step 4 is the final step where the cutting takes place. Basically, as the steel strand is fully solidified, as the steel strand actually is fully solidified and it is passed through the straightener withdrawal units, the dummy bar is then disconnected and removed and stored. And following this straightener, basically the strand is cut into individual pieces according to our desired length and shape, and therefore billets, blooms, slabs, and various casting products depending on the machining designs are found. This is a whole like schematic diagram of the whole process in one single picture, as you can see here. Moving on, let's take a look at the different types of continuous casting machines that have been used now. And there is vertical casting, horizontal casting, strip casting, and curve type casting, and all these castings are actually shown in this figure, as you can see. So I'm going to shortly talk about the machine. So vertical casting, as you can see in the diagram, actually the whole machine is actually set to operate vertically. The metal comes from the ladle to the tundish, and the water cooled mold through a nozzle, and the casting takes place smoothly downward through the rollers just below the mold. And the huge advantage of this process is actually it allows the upward flotation of any kind of metallic, non-metallic inclusions that are present, which ensures the higher internal cleanliness of the final product and greater finish. So then there's horizontal casting. In this case, basically the liquid metal comes flows out from the tundish or the ladle from a nozzle which is located in front of the container, and then it enters the mold where the solidification takes place, and the rest of the process is actually similar to that what we mentioned earlier. The advantage of this process is lower capital investment required for the equipment installation, and it's a better conjunction with other manufacturing processes. Then strip casting. Strip casting is comparatively newer in this case compared to the others. Steel sheets actually are conventionally produced by continuous casting, hot rolling, cold rolling, annealing. But due to the recent development and progress in the twin roll strip caster, it's now possible to produce thin sheets directly from the molten steel. And it's mainly used for the production of hot roll steel sheets, as the after thin slab casting and the thin slabs actually pass through the soaking furnace, they are directly hot rolled and line into strips, as you can see in the pictures here. And it can be of single roll casting or the twin roll casting. So there are certain advantages of the strip casting is that it supplies band with the same geometry as the hot rolling. So the hot rolling is not necessary in this case, and we can easily bypass the hot rolling. Casting and hot rolling is actually combined into one continuous process, and the rate of solidification is comparatively higher. So refined microstructures are achieved with greater mechanical properties. And another great advantage for this process, actually it is possible to cast steel sheets which do not have sufficient intrinsic ductility for rolling, like high silicon with high steels with high silicon content with intermetallic alloys or high carbon steels. Moreover, it's very efficient, economical, and environment-friendly process, because actually in this process there are elimination of other extra energy intensive processes. So that's why the cost, the economy is actually financially better in this case. Finally, the curved casting. Majority of steels actually all around the world is cast using this method. We have already discussed its working principle before. Is actually used for like high quality slabs of carbon, low alloy, and other steel grades. The molds are actually the heart of this process. They're actually, as we mentioned earlier, they're actually copper molds where they have free access to water feed and discharge collector. And the machines actually, the molds actually ensure an intense and uniform cooling of the slab on the entire length of the mold. So advantages are actually the output is twice as much as any other method, as I mentioned earlier. So the efficiency is greater, and with almost double slab withdrawal speed, the whole automatic control of the process, and the inert gas pressure in the mold volume, the production of wider range of slab sizes and high quality slabs are achieved with the use of molds of special design. And another great advantage I would say is the pressure which is observed during the withdrawal of steel slabs from the molds is compared to other machines is actually lower. So as a result, the risk of the thin solid crust on the outer surface of the steel strand to be torn off is actually less. So I've always I have mentioned that we are nowadays using continuous casting prior to continuous casting instead of ingot casting. So we're going to look at why it is better than the ingot casting. The cross-sectional area of an ingot casting is actually much more larger than a strand which is produced by continuous casting. And the reduced area in continuous casting decreases the likelihood of cracking or due to any kind of tensile stresses that are generated or introduced by internal thermal gradients. And the reduced area also implies that the cooling rate is actually higher, and so there is less time for segregation to occur and more chances of obtaining more complete solid solution. And the refined microstructure of products with better mechanical properties are found in continuous casting process. Then the liquid metal actually comes in contact with air much less than in ingot casting, and as a result, less inclusion is formed in case of continuous casting, and less amount of scrap is generated in continuous casting process. So the product is comparatively cleaner, and clean up the product is greater yield we can easily achieve from continuous casting. Then one of the major problems of ingot casting was the pipe formation due to solidification shrinkage. It causes metal and energy loss mainly, but in continuous casting process the pipe is actually not formed, and the product is in the continuous casting process we cut it off as per our required length, and as a result metal loss is much less than ingot casting. Actually in continuous casting metal loss is actually the minimum. In ingot casting, it also requires longer time for different operations, but in continuous casting, large amount of products can be manufactured in a short period of time. So continuous casting is more efficient than the ingot casting. Now let's look at some advantage of the whole process. The continuous casting is energy saving. The continuous casting process actually saves energy directly through the elimination of energy intensive steps, as I mentioned before, and the indirectly through increased yield. Then reduced pollution. This process is actually much more environment friendly because soaking pits and reheating furnaces are actually avoided and eliminated here. So the energy required is not actually kind of saved. So it's pollution in this process is actually comparatively lower. Then we can easily find slab width. We adjust the slab width with the downstream of strip mill, and also continuous casting process offers a superior surface finish and virtually eliminates any kind of internal porosity and the centerline shrinkage. And it also ensures uniform production of metal objects, whether it's we want 10 tons of products or 10,000 tons of products, the products will always be in uniform shapes and size and length. And it is at the end is actually cost effective for large scale manufacturing process. There are also some limitations to this process. It requires a higher capital cost and requires large ground space, and it is not suitable at all for any kind of small production. So defects actually, the billets occasionally suffer a range of surface defects needing expensive and consuming surface grinding, and in several cases even downgrading or rejection. So this some kind of cracks are actually longitudinal cracks forming in the direction of extracting the strand from the mold, transverse cracks which appear due to the tensions in the longitudinal direction of strand, blowholes in the cavities in the outer surface actually often associated with inclusions, corner cracks present in the edge, and depression which is actually local deformations on the continuous cast strand surface. Now let's look at some measures that we can take to improve the quality this process. The flow of liquid metal. So the flow of liquid metal has to be controlled, and excessive speed of liquid metal and it can enter in the molten slag and create any kind of intrusion. So ultimately the product will lose its cleanliness, and many kind of surface defects or inclusions can form, so downgrading the quality of the product. Then heating the molten metal in the turn dish is one of the recent technologies that are used. Basically, heating can be done by induction heating or plasma heating. It will compensate the temperature fluctuation when due to ladle to ladle distribution actually. And the working surface of the copper mold is actually often plated with chromium or nickel to provide harder working surface and to avoid any kind of copper to be picked up on the surface of the cast strand, which can facilitate surface cracks on the product. And that's why sometimes we also use the mold flux, as I mentioned before. Then quality improvement, regular oscillation of the mold actually prevents the molten metal from getting stuck to the mold, as we use mold flux actually increases the lubrication and also decreases the friction between the mold surface and the cast strand. And the low oscillation frequency has some problems of its own, like the skin can break or the surface cracks can form, and the oscillation marks can be formed on the product. The liquid metal must be must be protected from air by using molten slag layer. Otherwise oxide layer will be formed, and which will further act as inclusion and create any kind of defects in the products. And finally, the changes in the temperature gradient that occur across the solid shell due to the abrupt changes in the heat extraction rate, it causes differential thermal expansion in the solidifying metal, and as a result the generation of high thermal stress and strain. So this can ultimately lead to internal or surface defects, which can severely compromise the quality of the cast product. So these are the references that I used for this presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
So slide share off korbo?
হ্যাঁ, off করো। Roll number 30.
Yes, sir.
বলতে পারবা কি এটার আমি যদি একটা ক্রস সেকশন যদি একটা দেখি, মাইক্রোস্ট্রাকচার যদি দেখি, মাইক্রোস্ট্রাকচার গুলা ইনগট মোল্ডের সাথে, মানে একটা ইনগট মাইক্রোস্ট্রাকচারের সাথে এটার কোনো তফাৎ হবে কিনা?
ইনগটের সাথে
মনে করো আমাদের নরমাল স্ট্যান্ড যেটা হয়, লেটস স্টিল মেকিং এর কথা বলি, ছোটখাটো একটা স্টিল মিল, তো এরা মনে করো 100/100 তারা স্ট্যান্ড তৈরি করছে। 100/100 বলতে 100 মিলিমিটার বা 100 মিলিমিটার ক্রস সেকশন। আর ইনগট কাস্টিং করছে সেটাও 100/100, তো চিকন ইনগট করছে, পেন্সিল ইনগট টাইপের কিছু কাস্টিং করছে, এটা ইনগট কাস্টিং। সো এই দুটো অফ সেম ক্রস সেকশন, একটা কন্টিনিউয়াস কাস্টিং করে করা হয়েছে, একটা ইনগট কাস্টিং করে করা হয়েছে। এদের মাইক্রোস্ট্রাকচার যদি আমি দেখি মাইক্রোস্কোপের নিচে, তাহলে কোনো তফাৎ পাওয়া যাবে কিনা? প্রেজেন্টেশনে কোনো মাইক্রোস্ট্রাকচার সম্বন্ধে কিছু বলা হয়নি। সো
স্যার কন্টিনিউয়াস কাস্টিং এর স্যার এই যে গ্রেন গুলো একটা ডিরেকশনে, স্যার একটা ডিরেকশনাল থাকবে, যেহেতু মুভ করতেছে স্ট্যান্ডটা।
কোন ডিরেকশনে? কোন ডিরেকশনে?
যে ডিরেকশনে স্ট্যান্ডটা মুভ করতেছে,
যে ডিরেকশনে স্ট্যান্ডটা মুভ করে সেই ডিরেকশন। সো গ্রেন গুলো একটু ইলাবোরেটেড হয়ে যায়, তাই তো?
জি স্যার।
ওকে, ঠিক আছে। আরেকটা 31 আছো?
ইয়েস স্যার।
ওকে, সো টুনডিশে খুব একটা কিছু সে বলে নেই। টুনডিশের মধ্যে যখন কাস্টিং সোজাসুজি ল্যাডেল থেকে ঢাললো, তো ওখানে কি ধরনের ট্রিটমেন্ট করা হয়?
আচ্ছা স্যার, তাহলে ল্যাডেল থেকে
আলু কোনো ট্রিটমেন্ট করা হয় কিনা?
আচ্ছা স্যার, অনেক সময় হচ্ছে দেখা যায় যে এখন ইলেকট্রোম্যাগনেটিক স্টারার ইউজ করা হয় টানডিশে, বা মোল্ডের কাছে ইলেকট্রোম্যাগনেটিক স্টারার ইউজ করা হয়, মানে বেশি হোমোজেনাস স্ট্রাকচার তৈরি করার জন্য। আর টানডিশে যেটা করে হচ্ছে সাবমার্জড এন্ট্রি নজল দিয়ে ওখান থেকে প্রবেশ করানো হয়। তো উপরের দিকে একটা হচ্ছে স্ল্যাগ লেয়ার থাকে, আর ওই স্ল্যাগ লেয়ারটা হচ্ছে কোনো ইনক্লুশন বা অন্য কোনো যদি নন মেটালিক ফরেন পার্টিকেল থাকে তাহলে ওগুলো হচ্ছে অ্যাবজর্ব করে নেয়, তো ওখানেও ফার্দার মানে পিউরিফাই করা যায়।
ওকে, ঠিক আছে। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। আমরা কি ব্রেক দিব নাকি কন্টিনিউ করব?
স্যার অনেকে মনে হয় না আসতে পারে, বিকজ জানতো যে ওরা নেক্সট হাফে করবে।
তাহলে কি করব? তাহলে ব্রেক দিব?
জি স্যার, ব্রেক দিলে মনে হয় ভালো হবে।
তাহলে কখন আবার শুরু করব? 11:30 নাকি 12টায়?
জি স্যার, আপনার উপর।
তুমি বলো, আমার কোনো অসুবিধা নেই।
আচ্ছা 12টাই তাহলে।
ওকে লেটস স্টার্ট এট 12 তাহলে এন্ড করি।